If even one of these things helps improve your sales or your take-home profit, then the 5 minutes spent watching this video was well worth it. Also, it's really important to understand, if you don't already, that you can only sell handmade and vintage goods on Etsy, or dropship print on demand or digital art, which then fall under the handmade category as well. You cannot dropship just any normal item on this platform. Now that we got that out of the way, the biggest mistake that I made in the beginning was trying to reinvent the wheel. I thought to compete and get sales, I needed to create these amazingly aesthetic designs that wowed people off the bat, and I thought I had to be an expert at graphic design. But that isn't true. And more often than not, at least in my experience, it seems like the simpler designs actually do better. I've learned that you don't always need some flashy, well-designed t-shirt or mug or whatever you're selling to get sales. It's mainly about creating designs that people want to wear because they communicate a specific message or identity that that person wants to convey to others. And I found that simpler often works better. Plus, it's a lot easier to create them and it takes a lot less time to do so. And that means that you can create more designs and give yourself a higher probability to make more sales. Just the same, you don't need the fanciest mock-ups in the world either. For those of you that don't know what this is, it's basically just how you display your product to the buyer on the listing. For example, is your listing picture somebody wearing the actual t-shirt outside in nice weather because it's a spring theme? Or is it simply the t-shirt folded in a white background? Is it someone holding your mug next to a coffee maker so they can see how big it is relative to other similar related objects? Or is it a simple picture of a mug with a white background? And I remember taking several expensive courses when I was initially starting to learn how to do this, and they all recommended fancy mock-ups, which can cost a lot of money sometimes and at the very least take some time to create. But again, I've found that simple works better. And I've split tested both of these over thousands of listings, and simple white backgrounds outperform the fancy mock-ups by a landslide. It's not just me either. Look at Amazon, for example, the biggest company in e-commerce. They have billions and billions of dollars. They've been around for a long time, and they have as many talented coders as you could honestly want to work on your website, and yet they still make everybody upload with white background images. It isn't simply because they just like the way that that looks. It's because they've tested it over and over again endlessly, and that clearly works better. So don't waste your time on fancy mock-ups and don't waste your money. Another massive mistake that I made in the beginning was relying solely on organic traffic to get my sales. Now, when you're first starting and you don't have any designs up, it does make a lot of sense to go this route. But as you get more and more designs and some experience, you should start branching out and start testing ads so you can scale faster. I uploaded a video detailing my most effective Etsy ad strategy about a week ago, so if you want to learn how to get started with that really quickly, check that video out. It's linked up in the right-hand corner right now, and it's also linked at the bottom of the description. Learning how to run ads increased the exposure for my most successful products, and while it did decrease my overall profitability, it increased my overall profit. The reason for that was I was getting a lot more sales with a lot less work, even though I was spending some more money on them. So I highly recommend that you learn how to start running ads effectively and then test a few different ad strategies to see what works best for you and your products. You don't need to spend a lot of money on this either. You can start with just a few dollars a day if you want, maybe like $3 to $5 minimum. I wouldn't recommend going much lower than that though, or you really won't be getting enough data to make informed decisions on what's really working, so then you can then tweak your ads and make them better. I've seen a lot of people recommending to spend only like $1 a day in some of these videos, but there's no way, it doesn't matter if it's Etsy ads or anything else, there's no way you're gonna get enough feedback on whether your ads are working or not if you're doing that. And if you can't afford to spend $3 a day plus, which is only $90 a month, that's totally fine. But then I would say just wait on ads altogether and spend your time to create more designs and then rely on organic traffic until you do have that kind of money. You also might want to think about hiring a graphic designer too if you're not great at creating designs that look good. I still remember when I started, I would create a design, right? And then I would upload it and I'd be all excited, but then I would look at the competitors in the space and it was like night and day comparatively. I understood the basics and that got me by, but there was clearly something that they knew that I didn't. So inevitably, I would just spend more and more time perfecting the designs before I uploaded them. But the issue with that though was now I couldn't upload as many designs because it took me longer. Therefore, instead of doing that over and over again, I simply decided to bring on a graphic designer to create designs for me. And this was single-handedly one of the best decisions I've ever made as an entrepreneur in any business. I still create designs, of course. If they're simple enough and I can do them quickly, then I'll do them. But if they're more advanced or even like intermediate, I'll just have my my designer create them for me because he can do a way better job than I could a lot faster. I was even able to outsource this for only $2 an hour, which makes the ROI on his designs often very high. I've also done a video on exactly how I was able to find him and how I was able to use him to scale my Etsy business, and more importantly, how you can do the same thing with the same strategy. That will also be linked up in the right-hand corner right now and at the bottom of the description. Another thing I didn't realize when I started too was how unprofitable it was going to be at the very beginning. Now, don't get me wrong, it's definitely profitable now, and it's extremely hands-off, which I love. I can stop probably creating designs and my current designs will sell for a while. And usually now I probably get like $10 to $15 profit on clothing orders, depending on what it is, and about $5 to $8 profit on mug orders. But it wasn't that way in the beginning, and it won't be for you if you're doing it right. Your margins are going to suck in the beginning if you don't have ratings and you're new, and that is fine. As you rank certain products and get more reviews, you can then raise your price and increase your margins. But in the beginning, one of the easiest ways you can get sales and reviews is to charge cheaper prices and simply undercut people that are already selling well. Now, sure, you won't net much profit then, but you'll be building sales history, reviews, and then ranking products higher in search, so you can ultimately charge a premium when that happens. And then the newer sellers that come into the market won't be able to compete with you on those higher prices at that time. Another thing that was a game changer was connecting my Etsy shop to Printful. Printful's a print-on-demand company that integrates with your Etsy shop, so once you upload a design, you don't have to do anything else. When you get an order for that design on Etsy, they'll then automatically print that design on whatever you set to print it to. They'll ship it to the customer, and then they'll input the tracking number into the Etsy order for you. And I'm not joking when I say you literally don't have to do anything. Now, the two main companies that I've heard for this are Printful, like I just said, and Printify. They both work well, and you can use either one, but I personally like Printful better. Printful charges slightly more, but they automate the entire process, whereas the other one charges a little bit less, but everything isn't 100% automated, so it really is up to you on what you prefer. Now, I'd also recommend targeting higher price products if possible too. So for example, AI art seems really promising to me and something I want to explore, but the profit per sale is super low because the prices are relatively low. If you have 50% margins but you're selling a $5 product, your profit is still only $2.50, and you need a lot more sales to make decent money at those margins. On the other hand, something like a sweatshirt, if you're doing print on demand, can retail for $40 or $50 or even more sometimes. And if your margins are, say, only 30% because everything is handled from a company like Printful automatically, well, you're still making $15 per sale, and then it's much easier to stack profitable sales into decent money.